This is what my view is walking to my internship every Tuesday and Thursday mornings. This is Pioneer Elementary School. Here I work with Miss Walsh and her first grade students. This video will take an in-depth look at my internship experience at Pioneer Elementary School. The purpose of this video is to try to answer the question, are schools working in California, by looking closer at college readiness. I picked 3 people to ask questions to help me answer this question. So let's meet them. This is Miss Walsh. I interned with her at Pioneer Elementary School this quarter. This is Miss Joyce. She is an early childhood education consultant. I thought I would interview a college student since we're talking about the topic of college readiness. This is my friend Esther, and a fellow student at UC Davis. The first question we'll be looking at is, how is college readiness assessed?
Here at Davis Joint Unified, we have just created something called the Graduate Profile. So starting from kinder all the way through 12th grade, we're looking at like 7 different components of what we would consider college readiness. So basically things like critical thinking, problem solving, ability to work with others. In terms of social emotional growth that I think are really important is students have good interpersonal skills in terms of problem solving with students, so that they can be empathetic towards what is going on with them. That could be academic or it could be social.
So I think that we need to do more of a holistic approach where we don't just look at standardized scores and we look at GPA, but I think we really need to look at more of who that person is in order for us to be able to tell if they are ready for college.
So I think for academic purposes, college readiness kind of looks at how well the student can study. In regards to the social aspect, I think like how well can you adapt and how well can you learn to, I guess, interact with new people that you've never really seen before.
How young is too young to be getting ready for college?
In terms of thinking about college readiness, that's what you should be preparing students every year. And I think is that we have standards that we're setting that are standards that can be modified at every grade level, but that we're all sort of teaching to a higher academic level. And I think all of that helps with college readiness.
In the name of assessments and GPAs and those kinds of academics, we've narrowed down the opportunity for our kids to be able to learn, and we've made everything very cookie cutter and one-dimensional, and I think we're robbing them of their childhood and what's developmentally appropriate. And I think that if we can create environments where they can be emotionally safe and they can know what it means to have a fun time, to make friends, to be able to just think and imagine and dream, then I think that they'll be ready to be able to take those academic pieces at that point.
For me personally, like my parents kind of built me up with you need to do well in school, but it was never under college. It was more to build character and discipline and being focused and motivated for a goal, and to building those traits. It's never too young to start that.
What hinders college readiness, and if any, how can we prevent them?
Those students who aren't getting support at home, who are already kind of behind when they come in the door of whatever grade, those students, in order to be college ready, really need a lot more support because they're starting off at a place that's much lower than some of the other students. Well, one, I think we just need more services. We need more services at the elementary level to help with students with academics, whether that's, getting some sort of intervention for reading or intervention for math or intervention for both. I think that's they need more one-on-one. Assessing students, while I don't love assessing students all the time, I think it's super important to assess students so you know where they are so that you can chart growth and then keep upping whatever they need.
I think what has to happen is that it has to come from the top down. So we in early childhood could sit there and talk about play-based curriculum all we want. And we can even do that all the way through elementary school. And we can talk about Common Core in the high school. But if your universities are still requiring specific things such as hardcore assessments at a certain level, or a specific number of APs or specific GPAs and that kind of thing, then you're always going to have a large percentage of people who's going to play the game or who's going to learn how to do that. So if you really want to make change, I think that yes, from the bottom up, but also certainly from the top down.
I think the biggest hindrance to college readiness is social status. A lot of people who don't have good social standing and have maybe financial issues don't have access to good education, and because they don't have access to good education, they can't really build the skills that you need to be ready for college. Not even knowledge-wise, but just being in an environment that's enriching and being able to learn in that kind of environment. And so I think one way to kind of fix that is just trying to have programs where people who aren't in the best standing academic or socially and economically can have access.
As I was working with the first graders at Pioneer Elementary School, I find myself often comparing my elementary school experience to the extremely different experiences my students were having. This made me reflect back on how my K-12 education has shaped me and prepared me for college at UC Davis. It has also made me wonder about the education of the first graders at Pioneer and how I had become part of their education, and how their experiences of K-12 would shape who they become as college students. To answer if schools are working in California, I examined college readiness, and my interviewees said college readiness is measured beyond just academics. We also have to consider the social aspect of college readiness as well. While Ms. Walsh and Esther thought preparing skills for college would start at a young age, Ms. Joyce agreed, but cautioned that starting too young would deprive children of their childhood. And when considering what we can do to prepare our students for college, we have to consider what hinders college readiness. My interviews concluded that students who are struggling at home are found to be struggling at school as well. And we can try our best as teachers to give attention to these students in various ways to help them be college ready.